¿Qué pasa to the pack? It is pack here. NBA 2K23 has all-time teams. These are teams that throughout an NBA team's history who were their best players on that roster. Well, we're halfway through an NBA season and I want to see what players this season have officially made it to their team's all-time roster. I'm going to cover that in today's video. If you like that kind of content, please join the pack and subscribe. Let's get it, man. The first team is with the Cleveland Cavaliers and it's Donovan Mitchell, 90 overall. So here's the thing about all-time teams, and it's a perfect player to start off with because it kind of gives out the best argument, right? Some players believe that the person that has played for a really long time for a roster, even though they were never really an all-star, they're way more important to the all-time team than a player like Donovan Mitchell who's had one NBA season with the Cavs and they're just kind of good this year. What's more important? I'd argue it's even. Look, you have Anderson Varejao, who's been with the Cavs for years and years and years, was never really an all-star. He deserves to be on that all-time team. But so does Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell's the best player, dropping 71 points on a Cavs that's one of the best teams in the East. Both players matter to an all-time roster. Even though it's only been one season with Donovan Mitchell, this season has mattered for the Cavs, and therefore he belongs on this roster. I had Donovan Mitchell on the all-time Cleveland Cavaliers. It is time for him. Next player is CJ McCollum for the Pelicans. To clarify, it's pretty easy to make it to the Pelicans all-time team since they're so young. Their worst player is Jonas Valanciunas and Peja Stojakovic, who Peja didn't play that long for the Hornets/Pelicans. So no surprise that CJ McCollum has made this team. CJ has played 2 seasons for the Pelicans now, helped them make a playoff already, and if this team can stay healthy with Zion, they should make another playoff, with CJ being the 3rd leading scorer on the roster. He's clearly been important. He's a bucket for them. I do think he deserves it, even if it's just barely. He has 2 seasons under his belt, and he's had 2 really good seasons as well. So I'm going to put him on the all-time Pelicans team. The next player is DeMar DeRozan on the all-time Chicago Bulls. I do believe that DeMar has earned the right. He would be an 88 overall, which he was last season. He's had 2 seasons with the Bulls under his belt. The competition wasn't really that high, with the worst player being Horace Grant, who was pretty good in the first 3 championships that the Bulls won. DeMar DeRozan helped the Bulls make the playoffs last year and help them be a good team this year. They're not good enough to make the playoffs probably, but they have a chance still, and DeMar DeRozan has not been the reason the Bulls have not been succeeding. I do think he deserves it. It's only 2 seasons, but those 2 seasons have been quality for DeMar. I do think he has earned it. Up next, we have Drew Holiday on the Milwaukee Bucks. To me, this is a no-brainer. This is an all-NBA defensive player. He's won an NBA championship as the 3rd option on the Bucks. This is his 3rd season with Milwaukee, and he's been the 2nd best player this year, while them being one of the best teams in the NBA. He has earned this spot. There's a lot of greats in Milwaukee history, so I know it's really hard to make it. He would be one of the worst players on the all-time team, but he has earned it, and he does deserve to be here. He is that good. Next player is Anthony Edwards on the Minnesota Timberwolves all-time team. Well, first, it's pretty easy to make this roster, to be completely fair. They're still a pretty young team, and they haven't had a lot of success in their history. Their worst player is Andrew Wiggins and Tony Campbell and Wally Szczerbiak. So not great players, but good players. Anthony Edwards has shown already he's an 87 overall. He's in his 3rd season with the Timberwolves. He's a high pick for them. He's going to be with this team for a long time, and he's getting better every single year. I'd argue he should be at 89 overall already. He's been that good. He'd be one of the greatest Timberwolves of all time already. I do think he's earned that spot, and I would not be surprised in the next coming years he goes up to the 90 overall club. He deserves this for sure. The next player at number 10 is Melo Ball for the Hornets, another team that it's not that hard to make the all-time roster for. The worst player on the Hornets is Emeka Okafor, who is an 82 overall. You know, if Miles Bridges is on your all-time team, there's an issue. This team has not had a very good success for most of its history. However, LaMelo Ball has been a bright spot for the past couple years. This is his 3rd season with the Hornets. He's shown a lot of promise. He's looking like a triple-double machine when playing healthy. And I do believe that the Hornets, especially if they get Wemby, they're going to be really, really good in the future. And he's going to be a centerpiece of this success. He's also an extremely popular NBA player. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up on this all-time team eventually. He deserves to be here already. Maybe a controversial one for the Miami Heat. I have Tyler Herro, 85 overall. This is his 4th NBA season with the Miami Heat. He's made an NBA Finals on the Miami Heat as a second leading scorer. He's been the second leading scorer for the Miami Heat in the last couple of seasons, and they've been one of the better teams in the NBA consistently. I'm not going to act like he's been the 1 or 2 option at all, because I mean, Bam is the better player, and so is Jimmy Butler, but he's consistently been one of the better ones, and he's still really, really young, and he's probably going to be in Miami for a long time. He's a great player. There's other guys like Eddie Jones, Dragic, right there with him. I do think he belongs right here, and I would not be shocked if he continues to get better throughout the years and even goes up on this list a little bit. He for sure deserves to be right here. We're going to go back to Cleveland, and for sure, Darius Garland. Darius Garland was on a playoff team for Cleveland, okay? He's been one of the best playmakers in the NBA. He's a great scorer. He's an 87 overall, probably an 88 overall sometimes. He's had 4 seasons with the Cavs. He absolutely has earned the right to be on the all-time Cleveland team. The Cavs have not had many years of success. So to have a successful team outside of LeBron James and also be one of the best players on it, you're going to make the all-time team for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's earned the spot, for sure. One that has gone up by like a crazy amount is SGA on the Thunder / the Supersonics. This team has had history, multiple finals appearances for multiple years with the Thunder and the Sonics, and yet SGA has made it to the top 5 of this team all time already. Kind of crazy to say out loud, but he's a 92 overall. Right now he's a 93, but I didn't want to give him that high of a rating. He's had 4 seasons with the Thunder so far. He's averaging 31 or 32 points per game this year. Look, I mean, Kevin Durant, Gary Payton, Russell Westbrook, Allen have all either made an NBA Finals or have been one of the best players for years. SGA has put up those kind of numbers. You still have Spencer Haywood, who I feel weird putting below SGA, and Lenny Wilkins as well. It feels odd, but they weren't putting up the individual numbers that SGA has been doing. So I think he's earned it. I do think so. Even though it feels weird, he has probably earned it. Another team that's really easy to make the all-time team right now is the Toronto Raptors. OG Anunoby has absolutely made it, in my opinion. He's played 6 seasons for the Raptors already, okay? He's won an NBA championship with the Raptors. He's been a number 2 option this year when healthy for the Raptors, even though they haven't been very good. They're still fighting for a playoff spot, so they're still, I guess, an important team. He's been good, and he's getting better every single year. I think if Fred's made it, I also think OG should make it as well. I'd also argue that Scotty Barnes should make it over a couple of these players, but that's a debate for another day. OG Anunoby deserves it. He does. He's one of the better defenders in basketball. He's been a good scorer this year, and he's won an NBA championship with the Raptors. I do think he has earned the right to call himself an all-time great for the Raptors. I think this one might be another controversial one, but it's going to be hard to argue. I'm going to say Domantas Sabonis on the all-time Kings. Now, he would be in the very back with De'Aaron Fox. And also, if we're being honest, De'Aaron Fox should probably be higher than Sabonis all-time on the Kings. But this one season with the Sacramento Kings has changed the look of the Kings. They've been one of the worst teams in NBA history and sports history for the last 20 years. And Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox have changed that. The Fox is already on the all-time team, but Sabonis isn't. And this year, he's been fantastic. I know it's only one season. It does feel weird to have him above De'Aaron Fox compared to all time, but this year he has been better than De'Aaron Fox. So you can absolutely make the argument that he would be right here. By the way, this would still make him one of the worst all-time Kings players ever, but he has earned that right to be here because he's been so important in making the Kings one of the best teams in the West, which is something the Kings haven't done in forever. He's probably earned it. Another weird one is the Bullets/Wizards. I'm going to put Porzingis on this roster. Porzingis has had 2 NBA seasons with the Wizards already. He's been very good on both years, and the Wizards are fighting for a playoff spot this year. I'm not going to act like he deserves it for sure or anything. He's just been good. He's been good. I mean, it's like Caron Butler, who's pretty good. So like there's a debate there. You have old Michael Jordan, Greg Ballard, Jeff Malone. There's some players that are pretty good here. But I do think that already Porzingis has earned the right, probably. Especially if he stays on the Wizards for a while and he keeps putting up really big numbers because he's still pretty young for the most part. I can see Porzingis making the all-time Wizards team. If not today, then in the next couple of years for sure. For the Indiana Pacers, I'm going to say Tyrese Halliburton already. I know that the Pacers have been a pretty bad team so far, and it does feel weird to tie him with Ron Artest, Melo Ball piece. He was fighting for NBA championships for the most part. I guess, he technically was fighting for NBA championships. While Tyrese Halliburton isn't really even looking at the playoffs. Halliburton's playmaking is one of the greatest we've ever seen this season, while also being a good scorer. And, before they were tanking, this team was looking like they were for sure going to make the playoffs with a bad roster. Tyrese Halliburton's that good. I know it's only been 2 seasons, but these 2 seasons, playmaking-wise, he's been insane. I'd probably put him in the back of the team, like the worst-rated player on this team, but I would put him on the all-time Pacers. I think so. I think he's already earned it. He's shown that he can be that good, and I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps getting better and better. I am going to say this next one with basically a lot of confidence. I'm going to put James Harden already on the all-time Philadelphia 76ers. He's only been here for 2 seasons, but in these 2 seasons, he's a 91 overall. He's been one of the best playmakers. He's been more efficient than he ever has this season, and the 76ers are fighting for a championship right now. This team has a long history of fighting for championships, but James Harden is better than a lot of these guys. I know that Maurice Cheeks has been for the 76ers for a long time, Doug Collins as well, McGinnis has been there for a long time, but none of them are better than James Harden. And James Harden, I have a feeling is going to be on the 76ers for a long time. And if they win an NBA championship, he's guaranteed a spot here. So I know it feels weird, but I do think he's earned a spot because he's been that good this year. And the final one for the Boston Celtics is Jaylen Brown. Now, it's really hard to make this all-time team. I'd argue the hardest all-time team to make in 2K. But Jaylen Brown has earned it. He's made an NBA Finals. He's been on the Celtics for 7 seasons. He's a 90 overall right now, but I put him at an 88 just to be conservative. The offense is there. The defense is there. He's been with the team for a long time. He's been on an NBA Finals. He has a good chance of winning an NBA championship this year as a second option. Multiple All-Stars. I think he's earned the right to be here. Tied with Tom Henson, which by the way is an honor to be right next to because this dude was going to hella NBA Finals averaging like 20 a game for years. So it's really hard to make it. He passes Rondo, which is probably a debate you could argue, but I do think Jaylen Brown has earned it to be right here in the conversation for greatest Celtic, one of the greatest Celtics of all time. What do you guys think about this list? Do you agree or disagree? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like this channel, please give it a sub. I'll see you guys next time.